Every Bugatti ever built explained. Bugatti has built race cars that won over 1,000 victories, luxury cars that cost more than castles, and hypercars that broke 300 miles per hour. Each one pushed boundaries in different ways. Let's start with the cars that made Bugatti famous, the race cars. Type 13 Brescia. The Type 13 was Bugatti's first successful race car. It used a 1.4-liter four-cylinder with an overhead cam design. Most competitors still used side-valve engines that couldn't rev as high. The car weighed 660 pounds and made 30 horsepower. It won its class at the 1911 French Grand Prix. In 1921, Bugatti swept the top 4 positions at the Brescia Grand Prix in Italy. After that, every Type 13 became known as a Brescia. About 2,000 were built. Bugatti's first commercial success, Type 18. The Type 18 was built between 1912 and 1914. It was essentially a larger Type 13 with a stretched wheelbase and a bigger 5-liter engine. Bugatti built it as a touring car for wealthy customers. Only about 20 were made before World War I shut down production. Most were destroyed or scrapped, making survivors extremely rare today. Type 23 Brescia Tourer. The Type 23 was Bugatti's first sports touring car, built from 1913 to 1914. It used the same 1.4-liter engine as the Type 13, but with better materials and more refinement for road use. The car was designed for customers who wanted a sporty car they could actually drive on the street, not just race. Production was limited before World War I interrupted everything. Type 30. The Type 30 changed everything for Bugatti. Built from 1922 to 1926, it was the first Bugatti with a straight-8 engine, a 2-liter making 60 horsepower. The straight-8 design became Bugatti's signature. The engine was smooth, powerful for its size, and could rev higher than competitors' engines. The Type 30 established Bugatti as a serious luxury car manufacturer, not just a race car builder. About 600 were built. This car funded Bugatti's racing program and proved there was a market for high-performance luxury cars. Type 32. The Type 32 was nicknamed the Tank by the press because of its resemblance to the tanks used in the First World War. This model was one of the first cars to introduce the concept of aerodynamics to motorsports. Although the Type 32 was not initially a success, it did pave the way for the increasing significance of aerodynamics for race cars. This Bugatti only took part in a single race, the 1923 French Grand Prix, but it still came third with an average speed of 114 kilometers per hour. Type 35. The Type 35 won over 1,000 races between 1924 and 1930. No other race car has matched that record. It used a 2-liter straight-8 making 90 horsepower. The secret was the chassis. Bugatti used hollow front axles to cut unsprung weight. The wheels were cast aluminum and doubled as brake drums. This improved handling dramatically. The Type 35 came in several versions. The Type 35A had a simpler engine for privateers. The Type 35B added a supercharger for 138 horsepower. The Type 35C used a supercharged 2-liter. The Type 35T had a 2.3-liter for Grand Prix racing. Over 340 were sold, and privateers could buy one and actually win races. That's why it dominated European motorsport for 6 years straight. Type 37. The Type 37 was the budget racing Bugatti built from 1926 to 1930. It used a 1.5-liter four-cylinder instead of the straight 8, making it cheaper to buy and maintain. Despite the smaller engine, it still won races because it was lighter than the Type 35. The car made about 60 horsepower and weighed just 1,200 pounds. For privateers on a budget, it was the perfect entry into racing. About 290 were built. Type 38. The Type 38 was built from 1926 to 1927 as a luxury variant of the Type 30. It had a longer wheelbase for more interior space and better ride comfort. The car used the same 2-liter straight 8 as the Type 30, but was positioned as a more upscale touring car. About 385 were built before Bugatti moved on to newer designs. Type 39. The Type 39 was a short-lived racing experiment built from 1925 to 1926. Bugatti took the Type 35 chassis and dropped in a supercharged 1.5-liter engine. Only about 20 were built. The car was fast but fragile. The supercharger put too much stress on the small engine, leading to frequent failures. Bugatti quickly moved on to better designs. Type 40. The Type 40 was Bugatti's attempt at an affordable car, built from 1926 to 1930. It used a smaller 1.5-liter four-cylinder engine, making 45 horsepower. This was Bugatti for the middle class, or at least the upper middle class. The car was lighter, cheaper to maintain, and still had Bugatti's signature handling and build quality. About 830 were built, making it one of Bugatti's best-selling models. The Type 40 proved that Bugatti could build cars for customers who couldn't afford the full-size luxury models. Type 41 Royale. The Royale was Ettore Bugatti's attempt to build the ultimate luxury car, something that would embarrass Rolls-Royce. It had a 12.7-liter, straight 8, making 300 horsepower. The engine alone weighed 750 pounds. The car was 21 feet long and weighed over 7,000 pounds. Bugatti planned to build 25. Only 6 were completed. The Great Depression hit in 1929, and suddenly nobody could afford a car that cost more than a mansion. Even European royalty turned it down. The Royale engines were later used in French rail cars, where they proved reliable for decades. Today, surviving Royales are worth $10 to $15 million. One sold privately for over $30 million. Type 46. The Type 46 was built from 1929 to 1936 as a luxury touring car. It used a 5.3-liter straight 8, making 140 horsepower, the largest engine Bugatti had put in a production car at that point, aside from the Royale. The car was designed for wealthy customers who wanted a large, comfortable Bugatti, but couldn't afford or didn't want the absurdity of the Royale. About 400 were built, making it a commercial success. Type 43. The Type 43 was the first supercharged Bugatti road car, built from 1927 to 1932. It combined the Type 38 chassis with a supercharged 2.3-liter straight 8 making 115 horsepower. Top speed was 115 miles per hour, supercar territory for the late 1920s. This was Bugatti's Grand Sport model, designed for wealthy customers who wanted race car performance in a road-legal package. About 160 were built. The Type 43 established Bugatti's reputation for building the fastest road cars money could buy. Type 44. The Type 44 was Bugatti's best-selling pre-war model. Built from 1927 to 1930, it used a 3-liter straight 8, making 80 horsepower. This was Bugatti's mainstream luxury car. It was comfortable, reliable, and fast enough to satisfy wealthy customers who wanted a Bugatti but didn't need race car performance. About 1,095 were built, more than any other Bugatti model before World War II. The Type 44's sales funded Bugatti's racing program and kept the company profitable during the late 1920s. Type 49. The Type 49 was built from 1930 to 1934 as a luxury tourer. It used a 3.3-liter straight 8, making 90 horsepower, the same engine that would later power the Type 57. The car was designed for long-distance touring with a focus on comfort and refinement. About 470 were built. The Type 49 bridged the gap between the Type 44 and the upcoming Type 57. Type 50. The Type 50 was the high-performance luxury model built from 1930 to 1934. It used a twin-cam 5.0-liter straight 8 making 200 horsepower, the most powerful road-going Bugatti engine at the time. The car could hit 110 miles per hour and was designed for customers who wanted both luxury and serious performance. Only about 65 were built because of the high price and the economic depression. Type 50T. The Type 50T was the touring variant of the Type 50, with a slightly detuned engine and more comfortable suspension. It was built for long-distance touring rather than outright performance. Only a handful were made, as most customers who wanted a Type 50 chose the full performance version. Type 51. By 1931, the Type 35 was outdated. The Type 51 replaced it with a twin-cam 2.3-liter straight 8, making 160 horsepower with a supercharger. The chassis was stiffer. The brakes were better. The Type 51 won major races, including Monaco, but by the mid-1930s, Mercedes and Auto Union were building 400-plus horsepower monsters. Bugatti couldn't compete with that level of funding. About 40 Type 51s were built. Type 55. The Type 55 was a roadster built between 1932 and 1935. It combined the Type 51's supercharged engine with a shorter chassis and open bodywork. It made 130 horsepower and could hit 112 miles per hour. Only 38 were built. Today they're worth millions because of their rarity and stunning looks. Type 59. The Type 59 was Bugatti's last serious Grand Prix car, built from 1933 to 1936. It used a 3.3-liter straight 8, making 250 horsepower. The car won several races but couldn't match the German Silver Arrows. Only 14 were built before Bugatti gave up on Grand Prix racing. Type 57 series. The Type 57 was Bugatti's most successful pre-war car. Built from 1934 to 1940, it was a grand tourer for wealthy customers who wanted speed and luxury without the absurdity of the Royale. It used a 3.3-liter straight 8, making 135 horsepower. The car came in 4 body styles: the Galibier 4-door sedan, the Ventoux 2-door coupe, the Stelvio convertible, and the Adelante coupe with covered rear wheels. About 710 Type 57s were built. The car was fast, reliable, and beautiful. Type 57. G. Tank. The Type 57G was Bugatti's final racing attempt, built to win Le Mans. The tank nickname came from its aerodynamic body that completely enclosed the wheels. It used a supercharged 3.3-liter straight 8, making 200 horsepower. The enclosed body reduced drag for higher speeds on the Mulsanne Straight. Bugatti built two. One won Le Mans in 1937. The other crashed during practice. After the Le Mans victory, Bugatti stopped racing entirely and focused on luxury cars. Type 57S. The S stood for surbaissé, French for lowered. The Type 57S had a shorter chassis, lower ride height, and more aggressive styling. Power increased to 175 horsepower. Top speed hit 120 miles per hour. Supercar territory for the 1930s. The lower center of gravity made it handle better on twisty roads. Only 42 were built. They're worth millions today. Type 57 SC Atlantic. The Atlantic is the most valuable Bugatti ever made. It was a coupe version of the Type 57S, with one of the most distinctive designs in automotive history. The body featured a raised spine running down the center, riveted aluminum panels, and curves that looked like they came from an airplane. The design was influenced by the Bugatti Aerolith concept, which used magnesium panels that couldn't be welded, hence the exposed rivets. Only 4 Atlantics were built. One sold privately for $30 to $40 million. The Atlantic used a supercharged 3.3-liter engine making 200 horsepower and could reach 130 miles per hour. Type 101. After World War II, Bugatti struggled. Ettore Bugatti died in 1947. The company was in chaos. The Type 101 was a modernized Type 57 with updated styling and the same 3.3-liter engine. Only 7 were built. They were expensive, outdated, and couldn't compete with modern Jaguars, Mercedes, and Ferraris. The Type 101 marked the end of the original Bugatti era. Type 251. In 1955, Bugatti made one last racing attempt with the Type 251 Formula One car. It used a 2.5-liter straight 8 mounted behind the driver, unusual for the time. The car only raced once at the 1956 French Grand Prix, where it retired with engine problems. After that failure, Bugatti stopped building cars entirely. Bugatti was dead for 35 years. EB 110 GT. In 1991, Italian entrepreneur Romano Artioli bought the Bugatti name and built the EB 110. EB stood for Ettore Bugatti. 110 marked what would have been his 110th birthday. The EB 110 was a mid-engine supercar with a 3.5-liter V12 making 553 horsepower. It had 4 turbochargers and all-wheel drive. Top speed was 213 miles per hour. The chassis was carbon fiber. The body was aluminum. The car was advanced, but it had problems. It cost $350,000 in 1991. The build quality wasn't great. Electrical issues, cheap interior trim. And the company was burning cash building a massive factory. Bugatti built 139 EB 110s before going bankrupt in 1995. EB 110 Super Sport. The Super Sport was the hardcore version. Power went up to 603 horsepower. Weight dropped by 330 pounds. Top speed hit 218 miles per hour. Only 31 were built before the company collapsed. Today, they're worth $1 to $2 million. Concepts. Between 1993 and 1999, Bugatti showed several concept cars. The EB 112 was a luxury sedan concept. The EB 118 was a 2-door coupe with a W18 engine. The EB 218 was a 4-door saloon with a W18. The 18/3 Chiron was a mid-engine supercar concept with a W18. None went into production, but they showed Bugatti was experimenting with the W configuration engines that would later power the Veyron. Veyron 16.4. In 1998, Volkswagen bought Bugatti. Ferdinand Piëch had one mission: build the fastest production car in the world. The result was the Veyron. It had an 8-liter W16 engine, 2 narrow-angle V8s joined together, with 4 turbochargers making 1,001 horsepower. Top speed, 253 miles per hour, 0 to 60 miles per hour, 2.5 seconds. The engineering was extreme. The car had 10 radiators. The tires cost $30,000 per set and lasted 2,500 miles. At top speed, the car burned through its 26-gallon fuel tank in 12 minutes. The Veyron cost $1.5 million. VW lost about $6 million on every car sold, but it worked. The Veyron put Bugatti back on the map. 252 standard Veyrons were built between 2005 and 2011. Veyron 16.4 Super Sport. In 2010, Bugatti needed to reclaim the top speed record. The Super Sport had 1,200 horsepower and hit 267.8 miles per hour at Volkswagen's test track. The engine had larger turbos and stronger internals. The body was more aerodynamic with a fixed rear wing and a longer tail. 48 Super Sports were built at $2.4 million each. Customer cars were limited to 258 miles per hour for tire safety. Veyron 16.4 Super Sport Pur Sang. The Pur Sang was a special edition, Super Sport with exposed carbon fiber bodywork and no paint. The name means pure blood in French. Only 5 were made. The exposed carbon saved about 100 pounds and showed off the craftsmanship. Veyron Grand Sport. The Grand Sport was the convertible Veyron. It had a removable roof panel and 987 horsepower, slightly less than the coupe due to structural reinforcements. Removing the roof required extra bracing, which added about 200 pounds. Top speed dropped to 224 miles per hour with the roof off. 58 Grand Sports were built. Veyron Grand Sport Vitesse. The Vitesse combined the Grand Sport's convertible body with the Super Sport's 1,200 horsepower engine. It hit 254 miles per hour with the roof on, making it the fastest convertible ever built. 92 Vitesses were built. Veyron Grand Sport Vitesse La Finale. The last Veyron ever built was called La Finale. It was a Grand Sport Vitesse finished in exposed carbon fiber with red accents. After 10 years and 450 total Veyrons, the era ended. The car had accomplished its mission: make Bugatti relevant again. Chiron. The Chiron replaced the Veyron with even more extreme engineering. Same 8.0-liter W16, but now with 1,479 horsepower. Top speed was limited to 261 miles per hour. The Chiron had a carbon fiber chassis, adaptive suspension, and a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. The interior was more luxurious than the Veyron. The car cost $3 million. 207 base Chiron were built. Chiron Sport. The Sport was a lighter, sharper Chiron. It had stiffer suspension, lighter wheels, carbon fiber wipers, and a more aggressive exhaust. Weight dropped by about 40 pounds. Power stayed at 1,479 horsepower, but the car felt more responsive. The steering was quicker. The chassis was more communicative. 60 were built. Chiron Noire. The Noire was a black edition Chiron with exposed carbon fiber accents and black wheels. 20 were built in 2019. Chiron 110 ans Bugatti. To celebrate Bugatti's 110th anniversary, the company built 20 special edition Chirons with steel blue and French racing blue paint. The interior had special embroidery and 110 ans Bugatti badges. Chiron Sport, Les Légendes du Ciel. The Legends of the Sky edition was an aviation-themed Chiron Sport with a color scheme inspired by French fighter jets. 20 were built in 2020. Chiron Pur Sport. The Pur Sport was built for handling, not top speed. Bugatti dropped the top speed to 218 miles per hour, but made the car accelerate harder and corner better. The gear ratios were 15% shorter. The suspension was 65% stiffer. Weight dropped by 110 pounds. Only 60 were built at $3.6 million each. Chiron Super Sport. The standard Super Sport had 1,578 horsepower and a longer body for better aerodynamics. 80 were built. Chiron Super Sport 300 plus. In August 2019, Bugatti hit 304.773 miles per hour, the first production car to break 300 miles per hour. The production version was called the Super Sport 300 Plus. It had 1,578 horsepower and a body 10 inches longer than a standard Chiron. Top speed was limited to 273 miles per hour for tire safety. The rear diffuser was redesigned. The exhaust outlets were repositioned. The engine had optimized turbochargers. Only 30 were built at $3.9 million each. This was a landmark achievement, the first production car to break the 300 miles per hour barrier. Chiron Profile. The Profile was the final Chiron ever built. It combined elements from the Sport, Pur Sport, and Super Sport into one car. It had the Pur Sport's handling, the Super Sport's extended body, and 1,479 horsepower. The car was finished in silver blue paint inspired by the Type 57 SC Atlantic. Bugatti sold it at auction in February 2023 for $10.7 million. The most expensive new car ever sold at auction. This marked the symbolic end of the W16 Chiron generation. Devo. The Devo was a track-focused Chiron. It had aggressive aerodynamics and weighed 198 pounds less. Power stayed at 1,479 horsepower, but the car could pull 1.6 G in corners, more than any other Bugatti. The front splitter was larger. The rear wing was fixed and more aggressive. The suspension was stiffer. The steering was quicker. Top speed dropped to 236 miles per hour because of the increased downforce. The car was named after Albert Devo, a French racing driver who won the Targa Florio twice for Bugatti in the 1920s. 40 were built at $5.8 million each. All sold before the car was revealed. La Voiture Noire. La Voiture Noire was a one-off tribute to the Type 57 SC Atlantic. It cost $18.7 million before taxes, the most expensive new car ever sold at the time. The car had 1,479 horsepower and a completely unique body. The front featured a horseshoe grille. The rear had 6 exhaust outlets in a line. The body was entirely carbon fiber, hand-formed to create smooth surfaces. The car took 2 years to build. 110. The 110 was a tribute to the EB 110. It had retro styling inspired by the 1990s supercar. The wedge-shaped nose, small air intakes, distinctive rear wing. Only 10 were built at $9 million each. Mistral. The Mistral is the last Bugatti with the W16 engine. It's a roadster with 1,578 horsepower. Claimed top speed, over 260 miles per hour. That would make it the fastest roadster ever built. The name comes from the Mistral wind in southern France. The car has no roof, just a small windscreen and 2 seats. The design is aggressive. Large side air intakes, a prominent rear diffuser, X-shaped taillights inspired by the Bolide. The engine is visible through a transparent cover. Only 99 will be built at $5 million each, all sold before the car was revealed. W16, Mistral, Les Légendes du Ciel. A special edition Mistral with aviation-inspired design elements, including a color scheme based on French fighter jets. Only a handful were made. Bolide. The Bolide is Bugatti's track-only hypercar. It has 1,825 horsepower from a modified W16. It weighs 2,734 pounds. It's designed purely for lap times. The car has massive aerodynamic elements, a huge rear wing, aggressive front splitter, roof-mounted air scoop. The body is almost entirely carbon fiber. The interior is stripped down. Bugatti claims the Bolide can pull over 2.5 G in corners. Theoretical top speed, 310 miles per hour. It's limited to 236 miles per hour. On track for safety. Only 40 will be built at $4.7 million each. The car isn't street legal. Vision Gran Turismo. In 2015, Bugatti created the Vision Gran Turismo concept for the Gran Turismo video game. The car featured radical styling and was later used as design inspiration for the Chiron and Bolide Tourbillon. The Tourbillon is Bugatti's first hybrid and the replacement for the Chiron. It uses a naturally aspirated 8.3-liter V16 engine, not the W16, a V16, combined with 3 electric motors for 1,800 horsepower total. The V16 makes 1,000 horsepower on its own and revs to 9,000 RPM. 2 electric motors power the front wheels. 1 electric motor is integrated into the 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. The car has a 25 kilowatt-hour battery. It can drive 37 miles on electric power alone. Top speed, over 276 miles per hour. The interior features analog instruments made by Swiss watchmakers. No digital screens. The steering wheel, gauges, and controls are all mechanical, inspired by luxury watches. Production starts in 2026. Bugatti plans to build 250 at $4 million each. Brouillard. Bugatti Brouillard is a horse-themed one-off from the brand's new solitaire division. Named after Ettore Bugatti's favorite horse, this 1,578 horsepower hypercoupe was commissioned by someone super rich who went buck wild. The Brouillard is named after Ettore Bugatti's favorite horse, and the 1,578 horsepower W16 powered coupe features an exotic design that mimics the Mistral Roadster. Bugatti's solitaire division is even more exclusive than its Sur Mesure program, as only 2 commissions will be created per year. Along with green-tinted carbon fiber, the cabin features custom woven fabrics from Paris because the buyer is fancy like that. The shift knob was machined out of solid aluminum, and it includes a glass portion with a handcrafted sculpture of the horse the car is named after. From the Type 13 that won races in 1911 to the Brouillard. From race cars that dominated Europe to hypercars that broke 300 miles per hour. Each one pushed boundaries. Each one defined what Bugatti stood for in that era. Now you know exactly what makes each Bugatti different and why certain models became legends. If you want to see how these compare to their rivals, check out our video on every Koenigsegg ever made. Thanks for watching.